Do that.
My nephew was living outside the floor.
Oh, okay. You gonna lie?
I'm tagging you in it now. I got you. I'm ready.
Okay.
Colin Kaepernick.
What up, YouTube? Why we got so many religions? So many claim to be Christian but different, right? You on Facebook?
Yeah.
You on? I'm finna go live now.
Oh, let me sorry real quick.
Good. Yo, we in here. We in here. I heard that before.
My nephew.
That. Where have I heard that? I don't know if you played that before.
I don't know. Gotta bump my nephew Dante.
That's tight
Gifted
right
beans. Gifted beans. Go.
What up, people? Y'all come on in here. We're gonna talk about these religions against religion. How you gonna be Christian and Christian against Christian and Christian believing a different thing than the other Christian? Okay, let's talk about it.
What's up, Gary? Good morning. Good morning, everybody. A good day, I should say. Gary, Alteric, my cousin Al Green, Nicole, Golden Ticket.
What up, Monique?
Today we're going to be talking about, as the title says,
greetings.
Against religion.
Greetings. What up, YouTube? What up, Facebook? I like that.
Yeah, it's on, what we got?
Reality rap.
iTunes Music on, iTunes Music. It's on iTunes Music. It's on all of that.
That's reality rap. Yeah. I gotta bring up my. There we go. I needed to see the thing.
Oh, okay. I'm just waiting on a few more people to log on.
Yeah, we in here, y'all. How y'all doing, man? Y'all doing good? Grand Rising, Monique. Hey, fam, what's up? What's up, Tommy? We got, let me see. Good to see y'all.
Get my foot between it.
I'm glad y'all still rocking with us. Y'all share this out, and hopefully it'll help somebody. And we're going to talk about how the faith that I come from, the Church of Christ, and then Wanda going to talk about that Pentecostal stuff, right? And that's what it says?
Yeah, I grew up in Pentecostal, and he grew up in Church of Christ. So I guess we're going to get started.
You know, I want to say this though.
Before we get started,
I want to say this because I was telling Wanda this a little while ago. I was like, people are on my back now talking about, oh, you ain't going hard on Hindus, you ain't going hard on the Muslims, you ain't going hard on, whatever, on the Buddhists. Yo, I'm not. I was never Buddhist. I mean, I studied it a little bit in school, little pieces in here. I don't know enough to speak on that stuff, and that's not the context in which I come from. It only makes sense to speak from what you know, right? Speak from the context in which you come from. That's what most of us do. If you made it, that when we make songs, when we say we made it from the bottom, now we here, started at the bottom, now we here. What are you talking about? Your progression, okay? And where you came from, that's what you can relate to. So that's what you talk about still in your lyrics. I'm not going to talk about anything other than Christianity, Church of Christ, because that's what I know. So, that comment needs to be deleted. I don't know what they're thinking about.
I agree with Elijah on that. I grew up in Pentecostal, so that's the system that I will talk about the most. I know a little bit about the Islam faith due to my ex-father-in-law and ex-husband and his brothers. They grew up in Islam and whatnot, but I can only speak from what I experienced and what I lived. I can, as we like to say, I can give my testimony based off of what I grew up in. So if it does come across that we're only talking about Christianity, and there's a lot of churches. That's a huge umbrella under Christianity alone. So that
no, this thing. I'm sorry.
No, you could. So we thought it'd be kind of fun. Well, not fun, but we thought it'd be kind of have a nice break away from our normal sessions. We still working in Genesis and throughout the Bible, but Elijah, I mean, kick it off unless somebody, any questions.
Well, I see some stuff being said I would already want to respond to, but we got to get our showmate, and then I'll probably scroll back through and check it out. But I wanted to bring up something real important. Let's talk about salvation. Everybody got a different mode of salvation. In the Church of Christ, you know what it is. You got your 5 steps, and baptism is absolutely is necessary. And other people that claim to be Christians and they don't have it. Like, right, Thomas is saying, you got over 3,000, forms of Christianity. And so we want to kind of, chat on that regard. Let me do this because I don't want to get distracted. I think I can. Anyway, I'll just focus on what I need to do. So yeah, so you gotta first of all, in the Church of Christ, you gotta hear, right? If you ain't heard nothing, you can't believe nothing. And the references and the scriptural references are there. It's just I got my technology going, so I have to. We just talking today. We just going right off the top of our heads of our experience. So in the Church of Christ, you gotta hear the death, the burial, and the resurrection. Okay, you hear the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Then you gotta believe it. You gotta believe what you heard. Okay. And once you believe it, it ought to cause a change in mind, change in heart. That's the repentance step. Okay. And then because you turn away, because you repent, then you confess that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. That's a confession. That's the progression that has to be made, right? In the Church of Christ. Now, you're not saved yet. You're not saved yet. If you die at that moment, you're not going to go into heaven. You then must be baptized. And once you're baptized, by fully being immersed in water, there ain't gonna be no rinsing, nothing like that. And you're baptized now, and you come up out the water. You have your resurrection, your symbolic resurrection. Now you are saved. If you die after that moment, heaven is a guarantee. If you die as soon as you come out the water, heaven is a guarantee. You ain't even had time to see. Now that's the belief from where I come from. As a matter of fact, the preacher could be preaching, D. Mm-hmm. If somebody felt like, was having a class off to the side and that person said they wanted to be saved.
And I'm glad, I don't mean to cut you, but I'm glad I have Eric Waddell. He grew up in the same ministry that we grew up in New York City.
Oh, you got a thing on the back of it?
Yeah, yes. We'll just leave it at that. So I'm glad Eric is on, because he can attest to some of the stuff that we grew, because they went to my father's church.
Oh,
so,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Been knowing their family for a very long time. And I want to say good morning to one of my favorite cousins, like my sister, her name is Clarissa Green. We call her Bunny. She's probably gonna get on me later about that one. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
But no, I was just talking about the whole salvation thing. When it came to, I just gave them what we call the 5 steps to salvation in the Church of Christ. Hear, believe, repent, confess, be baptized. After that, you say. But I was saying, let's say something was going on off to the side. Somebody was being taught why a service or something was going on. Mm-hmm. The preacher could be dead in the middle of his sermon. He could be in his role. He could be in his groove. You have to turn it the other way, but you got to start over because it's going to be in that portrait mode.
We'll just roll with
it. The preacher could be in his groove and everything, and then somebody can come out the back. Yo, they want to be baptized. Everything has to stop. In some churches, not all. Some churches of Christ don't do that, but it's kind of an uncomfortable feeling when you're sitting there waiting. Oh, this person want to be saved, and everybody's thinking, what if they die? What if they die before they get in the water? And it's like, so dang, if they did die, according to what you believe, they could be that close to getting baptized, but they're going to heaven.
Wait, so even though they had to say, okay, they said that, or they confessed or whatever, and they still have, so that
you did all the 4.
So you're not completely saved until you get baptized.
If you don't hit that water, it come up out.
But don't the Bible say if you believe in your heart and confess in your mouth?
Okay, so there's different defenses to that, the doctrine. And so when you continue to read past that text and like Romans 10:9, confessing with the mouth and thou shalt be saved. When you continue rolling down, we start to find out more that you have to do. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we teach that you have to teach what the Bible teaches on the topic of salvation holistically. Meaning, yes, you got to hear, but you also have to do these things. And when you put it all together, the logical progression is I hear about this story of Jesus.
Right.
I decide whether I believe it. So let's say at believe it, you can go either way, right? So because anybody can hear, but at believing, you can go either way. So let's say you go believing route. That causes you to change your mind. Mm-hmm. And when you change your mind, you will confess with the mouth. You will say, Jesus Christ is the Son of God, because you've gotten to that point. You logically put that together and say, Jesus Christ is the Son of God based on what I heard in the gospel. And therefore, you need to be born of water and of the Spirit, because the teaching in the church about John chapter 3, and he was telling Nicodemus, you got to be born of water and of the Spirit. That one. Then you got the spurious text of Mark 16. Mark 16, chapter 16, most scholars believe ends at the 9th verse. But then you got all these extra ones, and in the extra verses, Mark 16, 15, and 16, he that believeth and is baptized shall be saved. He that believeth not shall be damned. That's the close the door. If you're not baptized,
so they pick these separate scriptures and compile them into bullets, a numbering system. Say
it has to agree.
A, B, C, D, E.
Well, it has to. What we're saying is it has to agree. Because why would you get baptized if you didn't first hear and believe? You wouldn't. Because if you don't believe it, you're not going to act on it.
But that makes zero sense.
In their pen of context, I think it makes sense if you're believing this stuff. It makes sense.
If you believe in it, it's not.
You gotta hear it first, right?
But who came up with this numbering system to say, okay, well, confess here, confess, believe here, see, do?
The logical.
Who came up with that?
The logical progression. It's not enumerating. That's the thing. You can't open the Bible and find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You won't find them all right there. You have to look at this thing holistically in the church, right? And say, a person's not going to repent if they didn't first even hear about the story. Remember, it kind of goes with that saying, like Ray Higgins would say, we used to teach, you got to get them lost before you can get them saved. You got to get them guilty before they'll repent of anything. So the logical progression is, why would a person even repent or confess that Jesus Christ unless they heard about it? They first got to hear about it. And then the second step that happens logically is you feel some type of way. You believe it. Mm-hmm. And then when you believe it, you will change your mind. Now your belief system has been infected. So you're going to change your mind about your philosophy of life. You're going to say, I need to live my life according to what this guy did, Jesus did. So now that you are believing it, you repent it, and you confess him to be the Son of God. That's why you're saying this, because you believe he is the Son of God. He's authoritative. So I'm going to jump in the water and be cleansed of my sins, because you got other texts like Romans says, if you be baptized, basically, or buried with him, it says, in the likeness of his death, then you will be in the likeness of his resurrection. Which
I guess that's totally different from Pentecostal, from what I grew up in. Because under Pentecostalism, how you want to pronounce it, it felt like you was like feared into it. You was, you going to hell. Imagine being a 5-year-old child in. I
got some knowledge here. My bad. JB is letting us know that it was a way to preach the gospel to an illiterate community. He called it the five-finger exercise. Okay, thanks for that, JB.
But in Pentecostal, you was like, I remember, getting up, having to be to church at, Sunday school started at like 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. And you were literally there all day from like 10. Sometimes we get home at 1 o'clock in the morning. We lived in the Bronx, and our church was in Manhattan. But to me,
not in the
Pentecostal was
COC.
like,
you would have been there by yourself.
I'm just saying, exactly. It took all freaking day for Jesus to show us. I'm gonna be nice today. It took Jesus all day, or the Holy Spirit all freaking day to show up. Like, damn.
Like, how long we got to stand here before somebody gets the Holy Ghost?
Imagine a 5-year-old who's being preached this spirit tactic. Mm-hmm. You're going to hell if you don't accept Jesus Christ and believe and speak in tongues. Well, what the hell do I understand speaking in tongues at 5 years old? Hey, what kind of concept is that?
I'm gonna address
that makes zero sense.
Oh, I get to play pastor today. I just realized that.
That makes zero sense at 5 years old.
Eli. So Eli would put this question. Eli, this is how they would answer that. They would say because Christ have the power or the authority on earth. And I
what
think
was his question?
What he was saying is, my bad. So Eli was posing a question to him. So where did the thief that believed in him on the cross go? And I believe what Eli's trying to say, he wasn't baptized.
He was nothing.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you how gonna tell you how that's defended.
Oh, please.
I'm gonna tell you how that's defended.
Yeah,
now I would have. I didn't prepare for this one.
This is literally off our heads.
The scriptures talk about, I believe it's in Mark 9, and it talks about Jesus Christ have the power on earth to forgive sins. So Jesus is still alive at the time of the cross. He tells the thief, this day you will be with me in paradise. That right there says he is forgiven because Jesus spoke that this man is going to be with him in paradise. So it's like, oh, his salvation is good. He's alive. He's on earth. He just approved of this guy. So that comes before his death, right before his death. I mean, what wrong could he do?
I mean, but were they not preaching prior to that about salvation?
Yeah, but
before Jesus got his ass up on that cross,
it's more complicated.
Was he not being? I'm just saying.
As the Hebrews,
as a Pentecostal, I'm asking a Church of Christ guy.
All right, yeah, I can tell you what.
Okay, was Jesus not preaching about salvation prior to him being hung on the cross?
He was preaching about salvation.
Okay, so therefore that guy had to know that about salvation because he was in the same area, up on the same tree, cross or whatever with Jesus. So he would have to have known about salvation because he was there.
It wouldn't matter whether he knew or not, because Jesus Christ is the Word himself, the Word incarnate. When he spoke it, it's done. You remember the concept? I don't know if you ever seen the movie.
So he didn't need to be saved. He didn't need to be saved.
He was. No, he was. Well, he was because
he didn't need to be. Okay, well, he didn't need to be baptized. He didn't need to pray. He didn't need to speak in tongues. He didn't need to do any of that.
Oh, we ain't even got that yet.
All he had to do was believe, though. So you didn't need. So then, what I'm saying is, if that man on the cross didn't need all those other accolades in order to get to heaven, then why do the Church of Christ or any other religion? Why do they say, well, you must,
right, Eli.
You must do this, you must do that, you must wash these people's stink ass feet, you must wear, We
didn't wash feet in the COC.
Well, we had to wash feet, and you talking about? I ain't never seen so many old ladies with some stink feet, like they had athlete's feet. But anyway, you didn't have to wear a prayer cap. I mean, y'all probably had to wear that.
No, we had kind of a dress code, but we had no like special underwear and crap like the Mormons.
But like,
they got
so
holy underwear.
What I'm saying is versus what you're saying is that we didn't. If that man on the cross didn't have to do all of that, then why do we have to implement all these religious?
I'm gonna take
rhetoric.
I'm gonna tell you like I told him. So this y'all, I'm tripping this morning. My bad.
Wait, I have one. I'm sorry. I'm going to get to a question of mine because I didn't even see that. Okay. Chris.
Peace, LaShawn. I love that brother right there. It's something about your energy, Sean. Man, I love it. Keep doing it.
Chris says, so is baptism symbolic or symbolism?
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is a symbolism.
But it is a teaching in the church to be followed. To not follow it still negates your salvation. You're not saved yet. You got to get that symbolic death and that symbolic resurrection. But it's
coming out from the old to the new.
Yeah. And but he said.
So just to give him Chris, a little bit more, it's coming out from the old covenant to the new covenant, because Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist.
Right.
And all that stuff.
Sherrod,
But it's coming from old to new.
Sherrod is actually a friend of mine. He's in Jacksonville, and that's what we doing, Sherrod. We keeping it basic because everything you just said, me and D acknowledge that. That's exactly what we believe.
Right.
We're trying to keep it on one level just to get the people that ain't at that level to start at least thinking. Not trying to, hurt nobody's feelings. We just want you to think, because I realize, hey, I look at religion as like a disease, y'all. It's like once it get there, something that would naturally happen, even common sense in some ways. It once it gets into your brain, that's a hard thing to kick. It's like crack. Because think about it. I'm going to die, go to the unknown, but this entity tells me it knows what happens after I die, even though we can't prove it, don't know it. And I'm afraid that if they are right, I could end up in a burning hell for the rest of eternity, and there's no possible way of getting used to that fire or going, I'm just burning forever. That's a terrifying thought. Nobody knows it. I do know energy is neither created nor destroyed. I know that. But that's a deeper conversation, right?
But anywho, you said something earlier a few seconds ago. You said that was common sense or something like that.
Oh, the thought thing.
Yeah.
It's a natural. It can. We would think of some of this. Some of this stuff. All right. You know what always happens when conscious people meet or people just talk honestly? We always go back to when we were kids, yo. Yeah. We figured this stuff out when we were kids, but then we got infected somehow. Because when you were a kid and somebody told you about Cain and Abel, and then the wife, you scratched your head. You weren't even 10 yet, probably. You was like, wait a minute, where he get a wife from? And then I definitely
remember asking my mother that when I was younger. I was like, why? I said, if Cain killed Abel, then he goes to marry his wife.
What wife? Yeah, you were probably like, what? And then you probably had the simple question of,
okay, you don't question God.
That's how you got that. That was your answer.
But in my mind, I'm like, this shit don't make no sense. Even when I was younger, I'm like, this really don't make any sense.
See, it would naturally be there, but then you get infected.
You get indoctrinated more and more. And then that's when that fear comes in, where you say you can't question God, and then you become afraid to even ask, simple, basic questions about the Bible. You're not allowed to use your human reasoning. You're not allowed to use your own human thinking. If you gave me a mind to think, then why can't I ask questions?
Oh, and Thomas is bringing up he saw the blood.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get
to that. We was talking about that earlier. I wanted to say this because Eli was saying that if we ain't got no body, physical body,
Well, that's what I was going to say.
How do you burn it?
How do you burn it? It's a psychological.
It's a psychological thing because you believe that somehow God put the burn in it. I mean, because it says that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Then you have scriptures that say things such as, "Don't fear man that can only kill the body, but fear God who can destroy both and your soul." I used to think when I heard that, man, you destroy my soul. So if I'm destroyed, I'm just gone.
But when
I'd rather be destroyed than burnt forever.
But when you have simple human mind of science, you understand there's three components to a fire: fuel, oxygen, and heat. If you remove any one of those components,
this is what religion says.
You can't have therefore you do not have a fire.
Of that.
That's just pure. But you learn that they teach you that in freaking school.
They teach you that, but religion says this. This is what religion literally says. I ain't gonna cuss, but religion is like, forget all that junk. I said it's gonna burn. It's gonna burn. You just need to believe it and don't go there. That's it. That's you believe because it's associated with God somehow, and what you already believe about God, wherever this place is. I don't have to have a physical body to feel burnt what I felt back on earth. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. And that's when you infected. You infected, and religion will make you say some silly crap. All right, I want to say this. I'm gonna give props to Dr. Bart Ehrman. I'm gonna tell you why. He was debating William Lane Craig, and William Lane Craig came up with this crazy mathematical thing and something he referred to that said it was like a 0.98% chance that God existed. So how is Mr. Bart Ehrman an agnostic saying that, or saying that God don't exist or whatever? But it was so crazy how Bart Ehrman came back. Y'all got to go watch this debate. He was like, after this long rant, he said, you cannot prove the supernatural by statistical models. You cannot prove the supernatural by statistical models. They sitting here trying to prove something immaterial, something that's really in the head, bring it out here and try to use physical principles to prove it. It's impossible, yo. Stop doing that. If you say you got faith, just have faith. I tell people that all the time. I'm not hurting nobody. I'm not fighting nobody. If you believe it, just say, yo, I believe this. Okay, cool. I just deal with reality. If you tell me it's the truth, oh no, I don't just believe it's the truth and I can prove it, well, then prove it. And that's where the BS starts. That's where the BS starts. You have to just believe this stuff, y'all. You have to just believe it for it to mess you up. And when you unlock, I'm telling you, that's really when you free. When we get back to the churches, because I used to teach this. I was meditating on that thing one day, and I said, you know, we still ain't free. I'm talking about, you know, black people in America and anybody really. But I was like, yo, we still ain't free, because I was like, they think because we got our physical change, people thought we was free. Physical change done came off, and then it's like, no, you got books like Dr. Karinga and stuff, and they were talking about how breaking the psychological chains of slavery. Okay, you get loosed in. So now you free physically, you free psychologically. You would think, okay, I'm good, right? Mm-hmm. Nah, because now they got you spiritually. It's three levels to this junk. It's 3 levels. You ain't free and you still ain't woke and you still a slave until you unlock all 3. When they ain't got your soul no more, then you free. Until then, you a slave. You are a slave. Just deal with it. He said, LeSean say, faith is knowing the prevention
of being lied to once your belief is intact.
Mm.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. This thing. No. So I was talking about salvation in the church, right. And there was some other topic.
I mean, you know, what is salvation, anyways?
Well, you got to get lost first before you can get you saved. They have to think about it. If you came here and nobody ever told you all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Mm-hmm. First question you might ask, what is sin? And then your next question is going to be who is God? Y'all remember what Dick Gregory used to say? God, the only God I know is my mama.
Okay.
That's where I came from. That's what I know. But, you know, that's wow.
I don't know how the process is done in Church of Christ, but in, you know, again, in Pentecostal, their method is the reverse fishing method, is what I call it.
Reverse
fishing method. And what that means to me is they want to get the fish and put the fish directly in the frying pan instead of prepping the fish first. You know, catching it, cleaning it off, gutting it out if you need to or want to. You clean, you know, all of that. They want to get the fish directly out of the water and put it in the frying pan. With people not understanding. I call it the reverse. Yeah, it's the reverse fishing method.
John Graves wants to be. I don't know. John, let us get. You wanna start out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh man, I was supposed to get with what's his name? Dang, he tried to get on last week, but I don't see him on here. Yo, bro, try to get him.
He was a Hebrew Israelite. Nobody got time for that super.
All right, let me see. Oh, you talk with him?
I saw him on Ricky Live.
Let me see. John, hold up. Try and bring in John. Hold up. Let's see what we're going. I'm gonna try to add John. Now, John, I'm gonna give you we gotta put a time limit because I'm doing.
2 minutes.
Yeah, cause my phone will overheat.
Yeah.
I don't want it to do what it did last week. It's taking a moment to add you, John. Though it's taking a moment.
If not, can they go on my page and add?
Yeah, if I can't get you on, John, find Dewana and get on her live. She live right now.
Just in case his phone messes up.
Yeah, because it's saying adding on my screen. Like, it's just taking a while, I guess, to pick up on your signal. But anyway, what was we saying while we waited on him?
The reverse fishing method.
Look at, you know, this is proof right here. This is off topic, but my boy Sherrod posted something. Look at, we was talking about adding people and stuff. Facebook pop up with that. But I think that was before they try to say it's during that, but they be listening to it.
Oh, definitely be listening all the time.
John, it's taking a minute, man. So We was talking about what?
The reverse. I was calling.
Oh yeah, the reverse fishing method.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that all about?
Like they want to get the person directly off the streets or whatever out of their situation, and put them directly in the frying pan without them explaining what salvation is, explaining what does it mean to be saved.
Just get them in there.
Just get them in there. Or you can't wear pants anymore. You can't wear earrings, and you can't wear earrings. You can't wear nail polish. You can't do this. You can't do that.
Even the Bible don't tell you to do that.
No, it doesn't. But again, that was the method in Pentecostal.
Do you believe we are still in mental slavery? I believe most people are.
Yeah,
most
definitely.
people are.
Yeah.
I mean, you got people like can break it down like I'm just breaking it down. I'm still learning a lot, but I'm not a slave anymore. I see the game. Once you see the game on all of those levels, we know you got to get past the psychological and get to your spiritual freedom too. Mm-hmm. Think about it. That's the real thing. If I got your soul that is controlled, that I mean, I don't even need a jail. I don't even need a jail. If I can make you just believe some crap just because I say it's true, you gonna believe it's true because you need to have this thing called faith. If you base it on anything but faith is not faith, then you still ain't saved. You see how that works? That's a complete and total. I wanna say.
But what does being saved? What is being saved anyways? What exactly is being saved?
You first got to believe there's something to be saved from.
Okay, so you got it.
I'm gonna tell you why black people fall to this. I'm not being racist. You know why we fall to this? Because see, usually you have to believe. No, because guess what's gonna happen? If you start running, I ain't got to see what you running from. I'm running too, right? So we do that, right? That's what we do with each other. So you believe this, I'm gonna just believe it too, because you. So
so you trying to get saved? You want to get saved or whatever? So. Because I was taught, in Pentecostal church that God doesn't hear a sinner's prayer. If you're not saved, then God does not hear your prayer. So at what junction in your life would God start listening to you?
After you get saved?
No, I mean, but if He's not hearing my prayer, right? You're God, I'm me. Okay. You got a deaf ear to me. You don't hear nothing I got to say, and then. I want to get saved. Is that when it magically happens?
No.
Like what the hell? Like what is the process for him?
Okay, so that here, there, this is what we see church. That when it says, God heareth not, it's not saying that He doesn't audibly hear you. Okay. It means
saved from what, right?
It means that He's not going to do what it is you're asking based on you. Because He allows His blessings to fall, His rain to fall on the just and the unjust. So there's like general blessings that everybody get, but He's not going to make no special.
But wouldn't that be contradictory with what you just said? With that He hears the just, so does He hear you or does He not hear you? Because you just said that
No, you're dealing with words there. See, that's the difference.
Right, but when you're taking it in a literal stance, as most Christians do, take it in a literal stance. So that would be a contradictory statement.
Well. Yeah, I'm just giving y'all the rationale. This is what I used to do, right? So it's like this. They would say, this is the case. Just because you understand it that way does not mean that's what it means. You got to be taught to understand it. So like when you hear words like here and you see it in the Bible, it's English, right? Yeah. But you got to go back to the original because the original might be the word akuo in the Greek versus another.
But they're not going to know that.
No, they're not going to know it. You're
coming fresh out of the streets. So you telling me, okay, say, You telling me I'm coming straight off the street. You making all this money we're gonna do one of the most sinful natures, I guess, because there's really no level of sin, but according to the Bible. But anyhow, you're a dope dealer. Okay. You coming off the streets, coming to church, and boom, God ain't heard nothing you had to say prior to you saying, "I want to get saved now." So that's when He starts listening to you. Now understand. This is a concept that I understood from.
The concept you understood.
Right, that I understood from. Yeah. So boom, you come into church, all of a sudden you want to get saved. Now God hears you, and now He has an open ear to your salvation and getting saved from what? So now you're at the point where, okay, I'm not a drug dealer anymore, but I lost a lot of money. They want you to stop immediately doing what you're doing.
Yeah, because even if that's your living, you don't have no other. Yeah.
But you're preaching prosperity. But I come from a place of prosperity, and now I'm at a place of nothingness. So that's why I think people go back to where they were because they don't understand the process, if you will, of being saved. Saved from what? How to get a job, how to function properly in society, and how to be a better quote unquote man or woman or whatever have you. But it's just the whole. What I'm saying, the whole thing is just like under this umbrella, you have this process of getting saved, and from this perspective of this church, you got this process of being saved, and then at the same time in the back, nobody's really.
Yeah, there's a lot of, conjecture that could be done there. If I was going to try to play the Christian part and try to explain it. But like you said, that's the context. People say, well, he ain't never heard me. And so now all of a sudden he going to start listening. They would simply say, it's not that he hasn't audibly heard you or aware of your situation. I'm just not doing, like you say to your kids or something. It's not that you don't know that they're not there or whatever, but you might not be finna honor any of their requests in favor. But you still gonna feed your kids because they're your kids. So you can eat, you can stay here, you can sleep, but you want something extra to help you along the way in this regard. So you ain't gonna get that because
wouldn't that negate the whole free will thing?
No, because they would say you get.
But let me phrase that. Wouldn't that negate the whole predestined thing? Because
I knew that was gonna come out.
That's what we're taught. That's what we're taught. I was taught under Pentecostal. So everything is predestined by God.
Okay.
Every single thing.
Okay. So predestination in the Church of Christ is taught this way. It's like, think of it. I'm gonna illustrate it first as a vehicle. Okay, you're here and and there's a vehicle, and that vehicle is on its way to your destination you're trying to get to. That vehicle is predestinated. If you're in the vehicle, then we know where you're going. If you're not in the vehicle, then it's in too. We know where you're going. You're going to hell, according to the Church of Christ. You ain't in the vehicle.
Does that even make sense?
But here's the thing. Listen. So what it is that Jesus Christ, and it teaches this. He's the chosen vehicle.
Right. Okay.
You have to be baptized into Christ. Once you are baptized into Christ, all righteousness is not yours anyway. You are only right according to 1 Corinthians chapter 5. If you read 17, first, second, I get mixed up. 1 and 2 Corinthians 5, 17 through the end of that chapter, and it's going to tell you that you get the righteousness of Christ. It's not yours. So you basically guaranteed heaven unless you do what I did and you deny all of this crap. I'm doomed, y'all. I'm doomed. I can't be forgiven. That's the unforgivable sin.
And it said saved people have the same problem as the unsaved have. The saved saints' prayers aren't answered, so why pray? And I put a post up the other day, and I asked, it was a very sincere question that I asked. As a Christian or a believer in God or believe in the faith system or whatever belief you have, has your God answered every single one of your prayer requests, every single miracle? Has he answered every single time?
I'm glad this came up because I'm
going to say
how
no.
we rationalize it in church. I think a dude on here, Cheeves, is on here.
Right. If it's predestined, there goes an argument for LGBTI. Off topic, but valid. Yeah, but that's very true. That's on topic. That's very true. Yeah. So if it's predestined, then they were predestined to be that way because you made them that way. But sidebar.
Yeah, they say no, he didn't make them. It was their choice. They could.
But you predestined that I was gonna be this way now.
God ain't had nothing to do with that. They chose it. They got perfect.
But everything you gave me is predestined.
No, you got choice because he gave you general blessings. And what else would it say? Y'all have a hard time thinking of it because I'm cured. So
if I'm a reflection of God, if I'm made in the image and likeness of God, God must be an LGBTQLMNOPRTSUBT also. I'm gonna walk my teeth.
She went through the whole alphabet. A, B, C, and E, F, G, 2. Shoot. All of that. All of that. So yeah, let me see if some people are talking. By the way, we appreciate y'all participation and everything we doing, getting out this content, sharing it at a basic level. I know some of y'all want to get deeper, but y'all deep folk, we want to thank y'all for rocking with us too, because we need y'all to continue to share these videos, like them, and help us come up. We trying to do something. It's a major movement here in the Southeast region. We're in the Jacksonville area. So if you in Jacksonville or y'all get to see y'all friends that live in Jacksonville, you know, Nassau
County.
County. I'm in Duval, she in Nassau, but you know what I'm saying? We're gonna work this thing out. It's a community building, y'all. So I want to talk about this speaking in tongues. I just spoke in tongues, y'all. Never done it before in my life. So what is
where
that?
there's two or more gathered in the name?
Oh yeah,
there he is.
We can't lose. We just spoke everything in tongues. And it's got to happen. It's got to happen. And you know we got the spirit too, because we couldn't do that
unless we had the
spirit. Can't do it.
So where did speaking in tongues come from? I did a little I'm glad you guys asked. So where tongues come from in the Pentecostal foundation came about 1896 from the dude named William. I got to get his last name, but white guy, and they broke away from I think it was the more like the Orthodox Christians or something like that, or Protestants or something like that. But
might have been the Church of Christ folks.
They could have been the Church of Christ folks, but they started this whole speaking in tongues. They started this whole speaking in tongues back in goes back to like 1896, and they based it off the scripture when they were caught up in the day of the Pentecost, which is actually where the name Pentecostal churches comes from that. Roro wants to give out a tongue. Mama say, Mama sa, Mama kusa, Mama say, Mama sa, Mama kusa, Mama say. So that's speaking in tongues. Michael Jackson said it best. But yeah, and I think I put up a post about this as well not too long ago. Speaking in tongues is a learned behavior. It is a learned, regurgitated rhetoric. You don't know what you're saying in the first place. You don't have anybody to interpret your babbling, none whatsoever. And I know it's not true. I know it's false. And so how do you know that when we believe such and such and such? Well, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, we had to go to prayer and tarry.
We get it
Friday night services.
I'm gonna say something.
And I absolutely hated going to prayer and tarry. 1, it would get hot in there. 2, people breaths are not so friendly at that time of morning. And 3, it was the smell probably was hell in my mind. I'm like 5 or 6 years old, but we would have to go to these all night prayer and tarry, right? Mm-hmm. All night, 5 or 6 years old. Don't know what prayer or a tarry freaking meant, but here I am. You spitting and slobbing. Train up a child in this foolishness. But speaking in tongues, we call Jesus. So you
and that ain't even his name.
You're doing all of this foolishness, and then like you get tired of this. Like, so I just started faking it. I just started faking it, and I knew at that point. I never even said anything to anybody in my adult life. Wow. Really up until this point, I knew that they was faking. Because if I started faking tongues and you said, "Oh, she got it," yeah. I knew they was like, I'm like, y'all don't know nothing.
Yeah,
this is a lie.
He was like, I ain't got nothing, but you saying I got it, so that means you ain't got it. Because if you had
it,
you would know.
Wednesday night at S&D Church. This is another one of my friends from New York. Wednesday nights you had prayer and tarry. Wow. But sometime on Friday nights, Ennis, remember you would have all night prayer.
Yeah.
On Friday nights. Now, you had to take your shoes off because you enter in a holy place. Wow. Like what? The carpet was plush. No, the carpet.
Oh, I was like, no, the carpet was holy. Take your shoes off. I'm thinking about the burning bush experience. Y'all speaking in tongues, and maybe the trees, maybe the pews.
Nah, the carpet was plush. That's all. It was. The carpet felt real good, so
it felt heaven.
And it felt good to sleep on too. Because I fell asleep. Like, I'm not finished up here and be that spit slobbing and coming out your mouth and all this stuff. And
you really got the spirit of slobbing. You got it.
You got to have like five spit rags. I'm like, this is foolishness. Where does this even I understood from the biblical perspective? Like, this is surely not what they did on the day of Pentecost. That's not what it describes.
LaShawn, look at what LaShawn said.
speaking in tongues, because you know what? look, I'm about.
Why don't they cuss in tongues so nobody know what they say?
Reading what LaShawn,
they won't say that.
He said, "Motherfuckers on Sundays, excuse my French, Spanish, English, whatever, on Sunday speak in tongues, but cuss folks out in English." Yeah. Every day.
Why don't they cuss people out in tongues? I ain't never. Man, that's a good one, LaShawn. That's a good one.
Because you ain't shit. Sounds better than English than la da sha ba sha ta. I don't know what you just told me, but I understood them English words.
Yeah, you could put a holy cross. You could be cussing me the heck out, and you could be like,
won't he do it? Yeah, you ain't coming like innocent. We grew up. You're not coming out that room unless you spoke in tongues.
Wow.
You're not coming out that room.
Yo, that's like against the law, because that's like imprisonment.
That's child abuse.
That's child abuse.
That's straight.
I can't leave till I do it. Okay.
That's straight child.
I'll do it.
Abuse. Yeah.
I'll do it. Man, that's torture. So
we really grew up in a torture. I mean, it was really
that's
torture.
Crazy. We didn't have that in the Church of Christ, because what we understood about tongues, we felt like we had a good understanding. It was just language. The word glossia in the original Greek just meant language. But I think this is where the confusion came. We know it started in Acts chapter 2. Mm-hmm. I used to, I was debating this dude. I went to this Pentecostal church one day, Apostolic Pentecostal church. Dude gonna tell me the reason y'all don't understand it because it's an unknown language. And I was like, dude,
they don't even understand.
I was like, dude, that's not what it was on the day of Pentecost. People understood. And then I said to him, furthermore, you won't find the word unknown
it was
in the text. Because the word unknown was not in the original text. And he said, oh, yes, it is. Yeah, give me a concordance. And he could not find the word unknown. The word unknown was not in the original New Testament Greek text. Is nowhere in there.
Did y'all have prayer warriors?
Oh, yeah.
Not mothers.
No.
Prayer warriors.
We had prayer warriors.
They walk around the room. And
they didn't do that, though.
They're making sure that you're speaking in tongues and calling on Jesus 1,000 times per second.
Nah, we ain't have nothing like that. Prayer warriors in the Church of Christ were just people that got together and prayed for you, period.
Nah, these was prayer warriors. They coming to beat your ass and to teach to speaking in tongues. I'm almost wondering why they didn't have a ruler, because I could have sworn they had a belt or something like they did like they do in Catholic schools. You get popped on the knuckles. I went to Catholic schools, so you got popped on the knuckles. If you got messed up, and that you get in trouble. But anyway, I'm surprised they didn't have a dang on ruler or a belt or something, because what's up, Vines?
Let me tell you what I want to say about tongues. Watch this.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. The real question, what Vines asked, the real question is, deemed certain words are cuss words. Are cuss words phonetic words like others?
Oh, yeah. I think curse words.
Words are just words.
From what I've looked at,
words are just words, and we assign them these values. Yeah. Man assigned these words, these letters, to conform a word. So, any words are words.
But the feeling behind it and calling it cuss words is a shortened form of the cursing word. In other words, putting a hex on somebody, and it comes with that negative connotation. Because now my audience, don't be shocked. I'm just gonna say what the dictionaries say. I was at a Christian college, and I was still young. I turned 18 when I was at college already. I turned 18. And then I say I'm gonna do some dumb junk. I went in the library one day, huge dictionary. As soon as you walk in, I'm gonna look up the word shit. I looked it up. It said worthless matter. I was like, okay, why is this a cuss word? It just means worthless matter.
Just like
this right here is good for nothing. Mm-hmm. And I thought further about it. I was like, well, maybe when you defecate, that can be considered that. But in the cycle of life,
right,
even your defecation brings life back to the earth. It's a cycle, so it's worth something. Right. But the word is really not a cuss word.
But it's been deemed by society.
We call it that.
Right. It's been deemed by society as a negative connotation, as a negative something, like the word bitch. Mm-hmm. Bitch is a female dog. Mm-hmm. So if you call me a bitch, am I a bitch? Am I a female dog? No, I'm a being. I'm a human being. Right. So that's not applicable to me. But it's being used. It can be used as an offensive word if you're talking to a female, because again, it's what we've been taught as these words hold these certain values.
Think about it like
really
this.
Don't. I'm anointed to cuss, so this is my profession.
She done had her blessing, y'all. He
Yeah.
yeah.
And all that.
You
all that
shall
shit.
cuss.
I shall cuss. But no, like it. Yeah, like Anna says, it depends on what society you're in, and each society have their own languages.
Right,
Just like the
right.
Bible had its own languages for that particular space and time and reality.
Right, right. And you couldn't say certain things then that were considered
Right,
that.
some
The
things
Bible
was
say
right.
you might as well kill your brother if you say unto him rake or say thou fool, you know. That
Or even
was
going
bad.
outside of the
Don't say
Bible
that.
if you said certain words,
Right.
like the word like which was a bad word to say.
Yeah.
And speaking of,
Well, you know, at home you couldn't even say dang. If you was like dang, they'd be like, "What you say, boy?"
yeah, it sounds too close to damn.
Yeah, it's too close to that. But damn in the Bible though,
And
there's
so is ass.
context, right? And
So jackass.
and hell.
Jackass.
Oh, let me tell you a story. Wait, right there. So no, this is real truth. Y'all listen to this foolishness. So a few years ago, I was preaching, and
you cussed?
No, in my text it said when it referred to donkeys, right? It said ass in the King KJV. But there was an older preacher, but he's very well known in the church, so I'm not gonna say his name because he's still living. And I had listened to a sermon. I thought, man, that's a good sermon. That's a good way he made the point. He was talking about how God thought more of a gnat, you know, like the flying gnats, that the gnat would be in the Bible, because he was preaching against denominations. He said, you don't see him in the Bible, but you will find a gnat in the Bible. And then he said, God thought more of a jackass than he did of a denomination, because at least that's in the Bible. So I was preaching. I got to that part, and I actually said that God thought more of a jackass than he did because of a denomination, because it's in there. Do you not know some Negroes in my congregation? I was a senior minister, y'all. I wasn't the youth minister, a minister of a section. No, I was the dude, the guy you talk to in the church. You know this? Some of these Negroes said, he up there cussing because the Bible say ass, it don't say jackass. I was like, what?
Same difference.
People, you know, what it was is they was jealous. They wanted to be the preacher. They wanted to be the preacher teacher. But anyway, foolish crap like that happened. Foolish crap.
Our whole point is, we're not going to really hold long, but our whole point of this is, you know, we both come from different Christian backgrounds, Pentecostal, Church of Christ, and even just under these two religions alone, you have different ways to gain salvation, to understand salvation, what to keep salvation, what it is. You know, you had different methods of. I couldn't wear pants. I couldn't wear earrings. I couldn't.
I did a workshop on that.
We couldn't go to the movies. We couldn't. You know, there was a lot of things that we could not do. And from my understanding, it's different.
It was real restrictive because we almost based for 50 years, and people that are Church of Christ know what I'm finna say. We have always talked about what you can't do versus what you can do. And that's one thing, and I'll never speak negative of my place that I started that's there in Jacksonville, just for the record. I love them people, so don't y'all even try to get me to speak negative of them. But because one thing we did say was that same thing. We have to, you know, just find common ground and move forward. But I wanted to.
They can talk negative about other people.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember, and I'm not. It's either black or white with me. But my former pastor, apostle, whatever I grew up under in New York City.
Titles.
Our church was like a few blocks down from Reverend Ike Turner's church. And I love Ike. I mean, at the time, I didn't like him simply because I was told not to like him.
Because he was on his conscience too. Though.
Right. I was told that he was of the devil. And if anybody in our church was caught down there, that they would be excommunicated from the church. And that was a real big thing, to be excommunicated from the church that we grew up in. It was really huge.
Yeah. But we call that disfellowship in the church.
Oh no, you getting your ass kicked out. But we were told not to. We were told not to like this man. We were told not to socialize. But I'm supposed to love everybody, right? But the crazy part of it all is that we listened to this. We made a conscious decision to not like this man just because our pastor, our apostle, told us not to like this man.
All right,
how can you preach love and hate from off the same pulpit.
Yo, I'm running out of battery on the lap, so I'm gonna end my YouTube feed. YouTube been wonderful. Y'all check me out at Public Enemy Preacher on my channel. I'm gonna just go ahead and end, but we still on Facebook Live. Thank you.
So that's the thing that we were talking about today, about religion